Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday, March 27th. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. Hello, all. Hey, Susan. Thank you for that. I am so not running for office, but thank you. Sasha will certainly appreciate the treats. We know that. Oh, God, I didn't put her water in the bowl. Oh, well. We'll deal with that in a minute. I did not put Sasha's water in. You know what that means. Danger, Will Robinson. Anyway, welcome, everybody. I'm going to get TikTok set up. I keep kind of playing with the camera. Is the camera too zoomed in, or should it be like one step further out? I can't really decide because I'm still kind of playing. I'm using my cell phone camera to do the streaming now because it's much better quality. But what do you guys think on YouTube? Is this like a good distance, or should it be like further out like this where I normally did it, or is this good where it is right now? I just don't want it to be too close and be like, ugh. But let me see what you guys think. And then I will get TikTok rolling in one quick second. I know it always takes like 10 seconds for it to catch up with you guys, so I will wait for you to give me some feedback. Oh, let me turn my volume up. Oh, there we go. Okay, volume is turned up. It should catch up shortly. It's good like this? Okay. Okay. That's good at least. All right. Looks good. Okay, volume I just turned up. Volume's fine. It'll work. A bit further out. Okay, everyone's disagreeing. Well, the only thing is, let me show you really quick. I can zoom. There's only a couple different options here. I can zoom. Well, that's not true. I can do 1.15. Oh, interesting. There we go. Okay, there we go. That's a little better maybe. There we go. Okay. I didn't realize I could do like decimals, so I just zoomed out just a little bit. All right. Okay, there we go. I'm happy with this. All right, let me get TikTok rolling. Where they censor the hell out of you, but it's okay. All right, here's TikTok. Mirror your video. There we go. All right. Look very yellow. I shouldn't look yellow. It looks okay on my end. Anyway, it's automatic adjusting the colors. Nothing I can do with that. Anyway, hey TikTokers. Here, let me. Hang on. Sorry. I can. Oops. 1 second here. I'm trying to adjust the color a little. See, because I can make it a little redder. I think it's good enough. Hey, Marie, Privit. All right. Hey, guys. Hey, TikTokers. Hey, Mark Starr. Thank you for the gift. YouTubers. Welcome, everybody. I am John Aravosis. This is my nightly show we do Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, U.S., where we cover the latest news from Ukraine. There is a lot of news to cover tonight. Who is that? Hakan. Thank you, Hakan. Appreciate the gift. Lots of news to cover tonight, so we'll get started shortly. As you guys know, this is my full-time show. I do this full-time. I post videos throughout the day on TikTok. Trying to do some videos. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Bryce. I'm trying to do some videos throughout the day on YouTube as well. I've got to start doing that more. Thank you, Ginger. Thank you, Marie. But I do appreciate your guys' gifts because, as I said, I do this full-time. It is my job. Thank you, El. And your guys' gifts literally help keep me in business. You help me pay my bills. So please do keep them coming. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, McFadge. And let me thank the subscribers really quick. Those of you subscribing, you're doing a monthly subscription. TikTok and YouTube both do it. You can ask the mods how to set it up. But those are actually, though, in some ways, well, the gifts are great, but the subscriptions are nice because it's a long-term thing. But let me thank some of the subscribers on TikTok. Got Ash today, Adventures. Those are the folks with the SNN next to their name. Martin, Bryce, Big Hawk, Ellie. No, not Ellie. Ellie just gives gifts. Thank you, Ellie. We like that too, though. We got Big Hawk, Martin. I don't want to go back too far right now, but Marie, those are the ones I've got in front of me right now. Flower Lady, hey guys. And on TikTok, we've got a lot of you, or YouTube, because you guys also have some gifts too, which is really cool. Which is nice. Susan, Flying, Jens, Mama, Paula, Brendy, Mike, I think I've got Drake, Annie, Bjorn, Anthony, Brendy, Strangeview, Paula, thank you for the gifts there on TikTok. I'll get to that in a sec. Again, with the gifts on TikTok, thank you guys. Susan, Flying Medic, Sick, Paula, James, I've got a bunch of you guys. And Sword for Justice. And thank you for those gifts, Dawn and Adventures. And John, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I hate asking for it because, but I do need the gift, so thank you. Thank you. And I forgot to put the little goal up for today. Thank you, Vicky. I usually put the little ear goal. Oh, are the ears up there already? Oh, the bunny ears are up there. Okay, good. I've got the bunny ears up there. That's good. Okay, good. And there's some TikToks having some kind of contest where the bunny ears I don't know. I think I get extra credit for the bunny ears. Thank you, Dawn. Hard to know how it works, but there's some kind of extra TikTok credit. So anyway, thank you, Flower Lady. I like those. I've always liked the head stuff. Thank you, Sarah. They always crack me up, all the head. Thank you, Jazak. They're all putting bunny ears on my head over at TikTok. You guys at YouTube can't see this. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Oh, we got subscribers. Thank you, D-Lyle, Star, and WNH. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Oh, and Ruby and Melanie. Thank you, guys. Very much appreciate it. Oh, Elle just donated. That's why. Thank you, Elle. I was wondering. I'm like, why did 5 people suddenly subscribe? Thank you for that. Now, just to remind folks, thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Running. The way it works is by becoming a subscriber on TikTok or YouTube, you get access to the emojis and fun stuff. But most importantly, you get to come to the Saturday show. I do a show almost every Saturday morning. Thank you, Jorge. Almost every Saturday morning, and thank you, Running, where Vlad often joins us. Thank you, Vicky. And we talk about really latest from Ukraine, but honestly, it's just a chance to kind of sit down much more one-on-one. It's a much smaller crowd. Me thanking you. My thanks to you. And anyway, that's how we do it. All right. Sorry, real quick. Musical support to protect your soul from Washington. Thank you, Musical. Very important. All right, let me get rolling here. And sorry, Susan, I saw something. Did you get my gift now? Susan, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Sorry, tell me more. Although I'm going to probably miss it as I'm going on with the show right now. Thank you, Jen. All right, guys, let me get rolling. So today is day 762 of Vladimir Putin's special military operation in Ukraine. Make sure to hit the likes as well. Like my video, like my show. Tap the screen on TikTok. That throws the hearts up, and I think it tells the TikTok computer that you like the show, which sends more people, so please do that. On YouTube, obviously hit the like button for the show. Follow me. Do all the fun stuff if you can. Thank you, guys. Oh, I did see it. I thanked you. Yes. Yeah, I did thank you for that. That was the... Yeah, Susan, you said John for president. I said I'm never running for office, but thank you. But I will help Sasha with treats. Yes, I said it right when I started. Sorry, you must have missed that, but thank you for that. Yes. Yeah. No, I absolutely, because I said I ain't running for office. And Annie, thank you for sending the gift membership that Jason just picked up. And on YouTube, thank you, Life. And Joyce again. And thank you, guys. And Martin and Grace. All right, guys, let me get rolling here. So, the Russians attacked more civilians in Kharkiv tonight in Ukraine and northeastern Ukraine. They're using, it is believed they're using a guided bomb, basically a new type of bomb. They, classic, they attacked residential buildings and a medical clinic. Again, civilians killed, several killed, at least one person killed, 19 injured, among them 3 children and a baby. Obviously bad news. And I mean, it just, it's never ending with the attack on civilians, which again, when you attack civilians on purpose, it's a war crime. Civilians do get killed in war. That is always a tragedy, and it's something that always happens in war. But when you target civilians on purpose, that's a war crime. Let's go move on. Let me get what else we got here. Oh yeah, the other thing is the Ukrainians attacked Belgorod again, which is good. That was a good thing. Belgorod, as you will recall, is Russia right across the border from Kharkiv here in Ukraine. The Ukrainians have been attacking this area a lot. It is an area that they've been using that Russian Legion to attack, which are the, thank you, James, and thank you, Brian, for the rose. They're using that kind of those Russian soldiers that are fighting against Putin. They've been there, but the Ukrainians are also launching artillery and drones and things like that too. So it looks like, at least according to the reports right before I came on, it looks like the Ukrainians blew up a Russian ammunition depot, which is great news. Thank you for the Tari, and thank you, Running, as well. F-16 jets. So a little bit of news on the F-16s. Ukraine's foreign minister said today that we are on schedule for Ukraine to get the F-16s by the middle of the summer. He said everything was going well and everything is going to plan. Now, as you know, a number of NATO countries, including the U.S., we hope, are donating F-16s to Ukraine for its war effort. Ukraine first had to learn how to fly the planes, which has been taking a while, but at least from their foreign minister, is saying middle of summer, which is interesting because middle of summer makes me think July now, which is interesting, So That's a little better than August, which is what they've been saying. Thank you, Vicky, for the gift, and Annette for the roses, and Annette for the heart as well. Jason and Bjorn, thank you so much for the gifts on YouTube. Here's the good thing. It was 786 who's a troll, but still, sometimes trolls ask interesting questions. They don't realize it because they kind of stumble into it. Thank you, Sherry. By the way, I'm a lawyer, and one of the things you learn in law school is never ask a question you don't know the answer to. And unfortunately for that troll, 786, they just asked a question they didn't know the answer to. They said, why don't you go fight the war if war is so good? Well, 2 points of that. War is neither good nor bad. It depends on the war, and it depends why you're fighting it. World War II, that was a just war from the NATO side. Not NATO, NATO didn't exist yet, but from the Allies, right? Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Ava, right? World War II, absolutely just of us to fight in World War II. World War I, absolutely just of us to fight. The first Iraq War, just of us to fight. The second of Iraq War, I don't agree with that one because there were lies from our government to get us into that war, right? Totally depends, right? So that's for the first point. Suggesting that wars are inherently bad is kind of silly because we all know World War II from our perspective, not from our perspective, but for our side, fighting in World War II was actually quite a noble thing that we still today laud those Americans and Europeans and everybody else who fought in World War II on the side of the Allies. So that's the first point. Second point, we don't need to fight in Ukraine because the Ukrainians are fighting for us. And that is the, I will say, sad beauty of the war in Ukraine, is that the Ukrainians are basically fighting for us. They are risking their lives for us. They're doing it for themselves as well. Thank you, Sunshine. Obviously, they're trying to save their country. We know that. But at the same time, they are basically putting Russia in check so that Russia is less of a threat to our countries, so that Russia is less of a threat to attack Europe. Many European countries, the defense experts there have said, including European leaders, that, including a Polish, I believe the foreign minister recently, that they're very worried that the Russians could attack Europe in 3 to 5 years, as soon as they're done with the Ukrainians. So, Ukraine is doing a real service to all of us by fighting this war. And the beauty of it is, and I say beauty in a way that is sad as well, is that we are not having to risk our lives for this war. Thank you, Maddie. All the Ukrainians are asking is that we help them out with financial assistance and with military assistance. And they are willing to risk their lives for us. So that's why we don't need to fight the war. But I always like when the trolls kind of make that point because it's such a silly point and they just kind of walk right into it. Why don't you go fight? We don't have to fight. That's the whole point. Thank you, Maddie. Final point here, but there is a risk. If we lose Ukraine, several European leaders have said, thank you, Pedro, and recently the French president is saying this, the Baltic leaders are saying it, and the defense experts, the former defense secretary of the UK has said this, that if we lose Ukraine to Russia, then we are in a real risk of Russia going to war with other European countries. And if Russia goes to war with other European countries, then we need to be much more afraid because then NATO kicks in, Article 5 kicks in, where we have to come defend those countries, and we should defend them countries, and then all of a sudden, we will be risking our lives. So if you're worried about risking American lives in a war in Ukraine, then you should be helping Ukraine all you can right now so that we don't have a larger war with Russia later on. All right, a little bit more here. Let's move on. Poland, good for Poland. Poland has decided to double its commitment to the Czech initiative to provide artillery shells to Ukraine. As you guys may know, thank you, Chief, the Russians are basically have a lot more artillery shells than the Ukrainians. They also got a bunch of shells from the North Koreans recently, and the Ukrainians have been really trying to ration off their artillery shells, which is too bad. So the Russians are firing anywhere, 3, 6. I've seen estimates as high as 10 times as many shells the Russians are using than the Ukrainians. The Czechs went around and they basically found artillery shells around the world that are available to purchase. They have been trying to get the Europeans to provide the money to do that, to provide the money. They've not provided enough yet. The total number of shells the Czechs have found now comes to 1.5 million shells. At last accounting, they only had enough money for 300,000 of them. At one point, the Czech president had said they had the money for 800,000, and then they backed off and then said, no, it's 300,000. Thank you for who was that? Boof. Thank you, Boof, for the heart. And thank you, Nathan. So this is Poland has doubled its commitment, which is great. We don't know how much Poland has promised, but they've doubled it, which is at least something there. The Germans also have promised a lot. And the Germans, we know how much. I'm forgetting the exact amount, but the Germans have promised a lot of money, several hundred million, I believe, to this initiative, which is great. Thank you, Blue Ariel. Germany also announced today that it is going to hand over 10,000 more artillery rounds directly to Ukraine from its own military stocks, which is great. BBC, this was a really crazy story today. This is crazy. So the BBC reports today that the Russians, let me rephrase this, a Russian disinformation social media network was pumping out disinformation about Kate Middleton, who's the princess. She's the wife of Prince William, who is the crown prince. I don't know if the Brits call them that, but the guy who will be king someday. Princess Catherine is his wife, and she's the one who just announced in the last few days that she has cancer, right? Well, we knew she was sick. We didn't know what it was, but there was real concern about just how sick she was. Right before she came out and she said that she had cancer, the BBC uncovered, working with a security group, that a group of Russian trolls, a Russian disinformation outfit on social media, was trying to spread rumors and lies about her health. Now, this same outfit, thank you, Dark Phoenix, this same outfit, and thank you, Eva, the same outfit was also spreading disinformation about the war in Ukraine in order to try to convince the French to no longer support Ukraine. So that makes it really suspicious, right? Because it's also part of a Russian disinformation effort about Ukraine, thank you, Vicky, which makes you, let's put it this way. Russia is a dictatorship. It is an authoritarian state. You don't run a social media network, a social media disinformation campaign regarding the war in Ukraine, going after foreign governments, unless you have the consent and are working with the Russian government. You'd be in trouble. You don't freelance that kind of stuff in Russia. You don't. So it and the BBC implies it in their article. It certainly looks like the Russian effort, the government was behind this, but what a thing to do. I mean, the woman's clearly sick. We didn't know she had cancer yet, but she's clearly sick. And the Russians thought this would be a great opportunity to basically just sow damage about her illness. I mean, in any case, more news. Reuters. Oh, some good news from Reuters. So the oil sanctions have been actually doing some good. The Western oil sanctions against Ukraine, which is kind of cool. Listen to this. This is from Reuters. Russian oil firms face delays of up to several months to be paid for crude oil and fuel, as banks in China, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates become more wary of U.S. secondary sanctions. Payment delays reduce revenue to the Kremlin and make them erratic. Now, this is an interesting point. The sanctions, thank you, Jason, the sanctions have finally scared the banks. And the banks in these countries, it says several banks in China, the UAE, and Turkey have boosted their sanctions compliance recently out of fear that they will get caught up in the sanctions, basically meaning the U.S. will come after them and sanction them if they're helping the Russians. Now, what it's doing is it's making the payments for Russian oil and Russian energy difficult, so that the money's getting stuck. And if the money's getting stuck, two things happen, the article explains. One is the Russians may not even get the money, or the money's delayed. If the money's delayed, it's money you don't have, right? I mean, think of yourself. It's like your paycheck getting delayed for a few months, right? For the next 3 months, you're not getting your paycheck, but you were counting on your paycheck. You've got bills to pay. The Russians have the same thing. Remember that I had told you guys like 40% of the Russian federal budget, the national budget of the Russian government, is paid for by energy. Their energy sales are that important in Russia. So if the money is being cut off, at least for part of the energy sales, for several months, that's money the Russian government doesn't have to pay its bills. That's important. It's money the Russian government doesn't have to go to war with Ukraine. That's important, right? Because they're having to make more tanks, and I mean, it's, they've got to pay for it somehow. So very important. The other thing is that even if Russia gets the money eventually, the payments are erratic, Reuters says. And what they mean is, yeah, maybe the money will come eventually. They'll figure a way around it. But for the next several months, actually, I shouldn't say the next several months, every deal that Russia does now for energy, Russia has to worry, when is that money going to come? And if they don't know when the money's coming, it's very hard to plan. And again, even if you know your paycheck's coming, but you don't know, is the paycheck coming this week going to come today, tomorrow? Is it going to come in a month? Is it going to come in 3 months? If you don't know, you can't plan for the future. You can't allocate. You can't say, I'm going to buy that new car. I'm going to buy that new washing machine because I know next week my paycheck will come. Right? So now the planning of the war also gets screwed up. So anyway, it was a good story. It was very interesting in showing how at least some of the sanctions are having an impact. Again, it's not like the sanctions are going to force the Russians on their knees to say we give up, but you want to do whatever you can to try to take money away from them, which takes money away from the war effort. So it's a good thing. Let me see. Russian forces in Crimea are constructing barriers at the entrance to the Sevastopol Bay to prevent further Ukrainian strikes on the Black Sea Fleet. So that is down here. So Crimea is the Ukrainian territory that Russia invaded and stole in 2014. Sevastopol, huge military port down here, Navy port, that the Russians were leasing from Ukraine, but they wanted to take permanently, which they did. I mean, permanently for them. Ukraine's still trying to get it back, of course. And the Ukrainians have caused so much damage around here. The Russians, just fired the head of their Navy because or the head of the Navy, at least down here, because the Ukrainians keep hitting their ships. They hit 3 ships this weekend, guys, or in the last couple days. So the Russians are trying to construct some kind of barriers around here to stop the Ukrainian boat drones from being able to come in and hit the Russian ships. So very interesting. Again, very good news. Bad news for Ukraine in that case. I'm going to skip that story. Oh, so this was interesting. And by the way, please keep the gifts coming, guys. I do this full time, as you know. I basically pay my bills by doing this show. Your guys' subscriptions pay for it. Your guys' gifts pay for it. The auctions we do, I'm going to show you. We've got a whole slew of really cool auction stuff up that I will show you at the end of the show. I've got like 12 new things up. Very cool stuff, including many things Vlad sent from Ukraine. But one of the things I do is the gifts you give me on TikTok and YouTube, the super chats, the super stickers here, the memberships here, subscriptions, but also all the gifts you guys throw on the screen. All of that helps me pay the bills. So please do keep it coming, guys. I cannot tell you enough how and I will say this for other creators too. Any other creators who are doing this full time or doing it as a job at least, please do help them out, because your gifts, even though they take a lot of the money, the powers that be, it still ends up being quite significant. So please do help out if you can. I appreciate it. All right, let's keep going here. Bloomberg. So Bloomberg had an interesting article today. Thank you, Liv, for subscribing. I appreciate that. Bloomberg had an article today on, that's okay. If you're a poor student, I understand. Again, I don't, thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Rocket. The show's going to be free. I'm just going to keep appealing to people who can afford it if you'd consider supporting me. That's it. If you can't, don't worry about it. I mean, worry about yourself first, right? I understand that. I know I've got to figure out the kick thing. Still working on that. Thank you, Alex. Basically, I'm gonna have to buy a new computer. That's sort of the next thing. Thank you, Patrick. So I'll be doing, I've been putting it off for a little bit, but I'm gonna have to buy a computer, and then I'm gonna have to do a fundraiser for that, because that's gonna end up being $2,500 to $3,000. You guys helped me the other night figure it out, and we literally added it up on Apple, and it's probably about $2,500 at least. So anyway, we'll deal with that, but in order to stream to Kick and everything else, I'm going to need to do that. Not for a Mac laptop. It's not Jedi. We literally crowdsourced it, all of us together, the other night during the show. At the end of the show, I can't use a PC. I'm a Mac guy. I can't use a PC. I mean, I appreciate that, but there's no way. And the problem. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't use a PC because I travel. So like when I go to Chicago for a month, I need my laptop with me anyway. If I didn't have the laptop, I wouldn't be able to do the show at all. I'm sorry. I understand what you meant. I did think of getting a PC on the side to do the show that was cheaper, but for travel, I wouldn't be able to do it. Let's talk later. We'll talk later. You want to gift a subscription to a student. The only problem, Blue Ariel, is TikTok and YouTube will gift it automatically to somebody. So you're not able to designate who it goes to, unfortunately. That's the problem, right? Yeah, there is no way in hell, Deb, that I'm switching back to Microsoft again. I've been using Macs for like 16 years. it will drive me insane if I've got to go back to Microsoft. Like, there's no way. Certainly not a laptop. There's no way. There's no way. So anyway, okay, let's talk later. Let's do computers later. All right, guys. Let's keep going here. Anyway, thank you. I saw somebody did gift certificates, gift subscriptions on TikTok that went to a bunch of you. Thank you, whoever that was. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, so Reuters today. Bloomberg did a really interesting article today about France and this whole debate about sending NATO troops to Ukraine. Now, the background on this is several weeks ago. We can talk about the computer at the end of the show. I don't mind getting a little more advice from you guys. Several weeks ago, President Macron of France comes out and says that NATO should consider sending troops to Ukraine, and that he's not necessarily planning on it, but he's, it should be an option. It should be an option, right? Well, a number of NATO countries freaked out, but some of them liked it. Thank you, Blue Ariel. The Germans freaked out. The Americans freaked out. Big surprise. Thank you, Blue Ariel. The Czech government said, not a bad idea. Someday we might be on board. The Polish government said, not a bad idea. Someday we might be on board, right? Macron said basically his goal was to keep Russia kind of thrown, to keep Putin off balance, so that Putin doesn't really know what we are and aren't willing to do. That basically we shouldn't be telegraphing to Putin what we're not willing to do, what line we're not willing to cross, because it makes it easier for him to do stuff if he knows, right? If he knows we're never sending troops, then he knows he can just get away with murder, right? If we're not sending troops. So Macron's point, which I think is a good one, is you keep all options open, right? And you don't, and thank you, Ava, and you make him guess. Thank you, Carla. Appreciate the gift on YouTube. Thank you for that. Now, the article today was basically talking to, it looks like it's talking to the Germans and the Americans who wanted to basically throw dirt at Macron, basically. I want to read you some of the Bloomberg piece, and then let's talk about it a little bit. There's some valid points here, but at the same time, I think the Germans and the Americans don't have much of a leg to stand on here, but let me read this to you. Thank you, River, for the TikTok gift. Macron's controversial comment about boots on the ground in Ukraine earned an instant and very public recrimination from German Chancellor Scholz and angered U.S. officials, listen to this, who privately say such a move might even risk fomenting a clash with Moscow. Okay, U.S. officials, now, this has to be one of the dumbest statements I've seen from U.S. officials, okay? Macron suggesting that someday NATO might have to put troops in Ukraine, and we now know from subsequent comments from Macron, who's the president of France, the discussion was about whether the Russians might someday try to make a move for Odessa, key Ukrainian city in the south, or even more importantly, make a move for Kyiv again, to take the capital, right? They take the capital, Ukraine's done. They take Odessa, Ukraine's in real trouble. And Macron was saying we may have to move troops in if the Russians make a big push for that. And the troops are basically just to block the Russians. Well, we don't really know what they'd be doing, but to block the Russians from moving forward. And in principle, they would be a tripwire, I think is what Macron is thinking, a tripwire so that if the Russians were to try to move into those cities, they would have to bomb those cities. And if they bomb those cities, they bomb NATO troops. And if they bomb NATO troops, it's war. The American officials say, if it angered U.S. officials who privately say such a move might even risk fomenting a clash with Moscow. No S, Sherlock. The whole point of putting troops in Ukraine would be to risk a clash with Moscow. That's the whole point. The troops, Macron's idea is to put the troops there to basically tell Moscow, if you come into these cities, you will have to attack our troops. Okay? Thank you, Raiden. I can read that. Right? You'd have to attack our troops. And if you attack our troops, we're going to war. Thank you, Succeed. So, for U.S. officials to respond by going, oh my God, that could lead to war, that's the whole point. The point of moving the troops in is to provide a tripwire to stop a larger war by threatening a larger war. That's, again, it's just, It is the most idiotic thing for U.S. officials to say. It's also incredibly weak-kneed because, once again, what are we hearing out of the Biden administration? We are hearing fear of war with Russia. Now, no one wants war with Russia. That's not the point. No one is looking forward to war with Russia. That war with Russia would be bad. But the way you avoid a war isn't by constantly publicly, and again, they did publicly. Somebody in the Biden administration went to Bloomberg and talked. You don't publicly keep talking about how afraid you are of going to war with Russia. And Biden's done this repeatedly. If you keep doing that, you're telling the Russians you're scared of them and that at all costs you'll do anything to stop going to war with them. That's really useful information for the Russians because it tells them, okay, this is good. I know I can do even more now because they're afraid. The Americans are afraid. Just really, really, really bad. Thank you for the subscriptions. I'm going to guess somebody else gifted them. No, does it ever show me who did the gifts? I don't think it shows me who did the gifts though. I don't think so. Thank you, whoever is doing those subscription gifts, because I'm guessing somebody's been gifting. Thank you, guys. Oh, Koala. Okay, thank you, Koala. Thank you for saying that, Jen. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chelsea. Yeah, it doesn't show me, so I never know, but I could tell. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you doing the subscriptions. Thank you for that. In any case, so let me read you more of this, okay? Macron's hints were issued to keep Russian President Vladimir Putin guessing, he said at the time, but officials familiar with NATO discussions on Ukraine said they might have had the opposite effect. Okay, listen to this. We're talking about President Macron of France coming out and saying that he would consider sending French troops to Ukraine at some point if the Russians were to move forward and threaten Kyiv or threaten Odessa. And by the way, keep hitting that screen on TikTok. Keep doing the likes. Let's see if we can get the likes at least over 100,000 tonight. And again, it tells the TikTok algorithm to sort of tell people to come, I think. That's what I've heard. Who knows, but it can't hurt. So please keep them coming. Listen to this. By forcing Berlin to, now mind you, this is information that came from the Americans and the Germans, trying to make the French look bad. So listen to this in Bloomberg. By forcing Berlin, I love this, forcing Berlin, right? It's the French fault that the Germans came out and said, no, we're afraid of sending troops. It's France's fault that Germany wimped out. Okay, just to put that in context. By forcing Berlin to publicly rule out the possibility of sending troops, Macron managed to dispel what lingering ambiguity there had been about the whereabouts of ally red lines, according to a senior U.S. official. No. What wiped out the ambiguity was the Germans going public and saying, no, we're never sending troops. That's what wiped out the ambiguity. France didn't do it. It was the Germans not standing up and being brave. So, I mean, let's get that straight for one. Bloomberg, nor were the comments very smart from the standpoint of operational security. This one might be true. Thank you, Tom. According to separate officials who also spoke to Bloomberg, given that several countries already quietly have some personnel in Ukraine. That's a fair point. Maybe. Now, what else they did, the American and the German officials leaked to Reuters more criticism of France not helping Ukraine. Now, this criticism is valid. Meaning, and I've talked about this repeatedly, the French have been kind of cheap about helping Ukraine. They have. They've given some very good weapon systems, but they've given a very small amount of very good weapon systems. The Germans, I've got the latest tally here from Bloomberg. The Germans have given around 22 billion euros, which I want to say maybe $19 billion. Let's see. Alexa, how many dollars is 22 billion euros?
22 billion euros is 23,790,728,000.
Oh, that's even more. Sorry. Okay, so it's telling me the number of cents. Thank you. So 22 billion euros is $23 billion, okay, that the Germans have given of aid to Ukraine, military aid. The French, this is the latest number, so higher. The French have given 2 billion euros. So that's 10 times less. 10 times less than the Germans, the French have given in military aid. Okay? France and Germany have very similar economies. They're not that different from each other in terms of the size. That's not cool. Interestingly, the French, however, what's interesting about it, though, is the French gave cruise missiles. Big deal, actually. The Germans are refusing to give cruise missiles. The French gave cruise missiles. The French gave some very good artillery pieces. They're giving more of them, the Caesars. The French gave some, thank you, flower. Oh, that's cute. That's very cute, the Easter thing. And that's a very nice gift, too. Thank you for that. I'd not seen that one before. So the French are kind of in a weird situation because they have not given Ukraine a ton of help. But the help they've given has been very good, but it's not much. But it's very good, but not much. Thank you, Elizabeth. And now the French have come around. Macron has gone from being like peacemaker to war hawk, I guess I would say, to some degree, which I would agree with. But let's see in practice what that does. Let's see if France steps up and really amps up its commitment to Ukraine, because they haven't done nearly what they need to compared to what the Germans have done. All right, let's move on. Final two stories here. So Pussy Riot. You guys know Pussy Riot. Pussy Riot is a Russian rock band, but they're also political activists, very critical of Putin. And I like to show you these stories because I think it's important for you to understand what the Russian government really is. It's a dictatorship. It's an autocratic dictatorship. And compared to the countries in the West, especially because we have far too many sort of sycophants and defenders of Russia in the West, especially in my government, maybe not in my government, but in my country politically, that it's important to remind people of just what Russia is as a political system, okay? Political activist and member of the rock band Pussy Riot has been sentenced by a Russian court for spreading war fakes, meaning like fake news about war on social media. She was handed a 6-year prison sentence for anti-war posts on social media. She's out of the country, thank God, so she's not going to jail. 6 years in prison, guys. Let me tell you what she said that got her 6 years in prison in Russia, okay? She was convicted over a post on Twitter in which she accused Russian soldiers captured by Ukraine of bombing foreign cities and killing people. She wrote on Twitter that Russian troops were bombing foreign cities and killing people. I mean, literally, that isn't even an accusation. That's a report you could have out of the Associated Press, the New York Times, or the BBC. Russian troops are bombing foreign cities and killing people. There isn't even bias. It's not even an opinion what she said. She's literally giving an objective truth. She got 6 years in prison for saying that on Twitter, guys. That is what Russia is. And it is important. Thank God she's out of Russia, as Carla just said. That is why it is important for you to understand what the Russian government is, how it is not a democracy. It is a dictatorship. And why it is that so many of the defense experts are so worried about what Russia might do next. Because, again, it's not a democracy. It is not. It just is. I'm trying to watch my words because of you people, as you well know, which is really sad in a way that I've got to watch how I even describe anything now because of our overlords with TikTok. But very scary considering that fact, but oh well. Better to admit it publicly than not admit it at all. Finally, the Russians are still denying that ISIS did the terror attack. So the terror attack, the number of deaths in Moscow is up to, I think, 140 as of this afternoon. Several hundred injured. This is the horrific terror attack on Moscow on Friday when 4 people believed to be Tajiks, or I should say the suspects are Tajiks, and believed to be with ISIS, walked into a shopping mall where a concert was about to take place. There's a concert hall there too, and opened fire, killing civilians left and right. Really horrible what they did. Now, the Russians are been trying to blame Ukraine and blame the U.S. and Britain. In part because the U.S. and Britain warned the Russians about a pending attack or impending attack 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks before the attack, we warned them. We were so concerned that we went public with our warning. Now, going public with the warning means either we didn't think the Russians were taking it seriously enough, or it was such a serious threat, the intelligence we had, that we wanted to make sure our citizens in those countries knew about the threat. Because one of the things we said in the warning was they should avoid concert venues, which is exactly what the terrorist attacked, was a concert hall. Well, the Russians, in response, are freaked out that the Americans and the Brits warned about the attack, and Putin didn't do anything about it. Putin actually put out a statement 3 days before the attack criticizing the Americans and the Brits, saying that the warning we put out of an impending terrorist attack in Moscow, possibly at a concert hall, was basically fake news. He called it blackmail. It was a lie. We were trying to foment discord, he said, in Russia, social unrest. Well, then there was a big attack just like we predicted. I am still not 100% clear why Russia's doing this, but Russia's trying to blame the attack on Ukraine, and they're trying to blame it on us and the Brits. And they've been doing this nonstop. ISIS, Islamic State, has claimed credit. ISIS has been getting so frustrated that they keep claiming credit again and again and again because the Russians keep saying they don't believe it's ISIS. ISIS even went so far as to produce evidence. They had either photos or videos of the terrorists like before the attack. And ISIS put like photos nobody else has. And ISIS put them out there to basically go, hello, right? These are our guys. Russia's refusing. Listen to this. This was Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova today, I believe, said, it is extremely hard to believe that Islamic State would have had the capacity to carry out last week's attack on a Moscow concert hall. They're still denying it, guys. I will say, part of what's going on here, there's a number of things going on, but part of what's going on here is that, let me look here. I can look, by the way, we met our little subscription goal. Thank you, guys. I think I can update it. Let me try as we're doing this. Hang on. Yeah, I can add a new goal. Let me try it. Thank you, guys. All right, I will set a not too large goal. There we go. Start a new goal. Yes, there we go. All right. The new goal is there. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. 1 second here. We'll do another 10 of these guys. The bunny ears. Exactly. Thank you, guys. So, the Russians, there is an advantage to the Russians in blaming the Ukrainians, okay? They're at war with Ukraine. They're in the third year of the war. Anything that bucks up the home front, anything that convinces Russians that Ukraine is the boogeyman, that Ukraine is the big bad, thank you, Monica, helps to build support for the war and helps to crush opposition to Putin. Because, right, if you think the Ukrainians just did a horrible terrorist attack in Moscow, then you are less sympathetic to the Ukrainians. You're more sympathetic to Putin and the Russians, right? So it's understandable. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Jen. It's Dawn. I mean, understandable. I mean, I get the logic, even though it's bad, of what Russia's doing. The reason they're involving us and the Brits couldn't care less. I think Biden's afraid of the Russians, as I've talked about before. Thank you, Arifa. Thank you, Jen. And they're doing this to play Biden. Thank you, Marcia. They're doing it to play Biden. They're trying to scare him. Oh, my God, the Russians keep accusing America of being behind the terror attack. Oh, my God, what might the Russians do? Thank you, Hedge, for the gift on TikTok, right? If you're Biden, knowing Biden, sadly, thank you, Lori, as well, for the gifts on TikTok. You guys are being very generous tonight. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Cheryl, for the ears. But I think this is playing Biden. They know Biden worries about Russia. Thank you, Richard. And Biden worries about what crazy thing might Russia do. So they're making this sort of threat saying, we know you were behind it, America, even though everyone knows America wasn't behind it. Thank you, Jen. So that Biden goes, oh my God. Because it's true. I mean, if America were to, thank you, Blue Ariel, if America were to launch a terror attack on Moscow using Islamic State, which is insane because they hate us too. Thank you, Ava, right? The Islamic State doesn't like us. But if America were to do that, that would be an act of war. That's part of the reason we don't do it. There's a lot of reasons we don't do it. Thank you, Ernie. But one of them is it's an act of war. Thank you, Ruthie. It's too dangerous. So there's no way we would do it. But okay, stay with me a second here. Biden is sitting in the White House. Biden hears the Russians accuse him of being behind the terrorist attack. Thank you, Ellie, in Moscow. Biden knows if he were to have really done the terrorist attack in Moscow, that's an act of war. That would, potentially cause the Russians to go to war against us. It would cause the Russians to attack us in a similar way, right? Biden doesn't want to go to war with the Russians. Biden doesn't want them to launch terrorist attacks in Washington. So from Biden's perspective, if the Russians are saying this, and if he thinks the Russians actually believe it, thank you, Timothy, he's going to get really worried about, oh my God, what might Putin do if he thinks I committed an act of war? The thing is, Putin's bluffing about the entire thing. I don't think Putin in a million years thinks the U.S. was behind it. I've always said this. Putin's not stupid, and he's not crazy. You know, some people say that about him. He's not crazy. He's not crazy. I think he's totally predictable. You know, he's a hard ass. I mean, and he is, but he's not crazy. He's trying to freak out Biden. You know, basic bottom line. Very upsetting though. Very upsetting. So all right, let me show you really quick, guys. We've got a number of. I've put literally 12 new auction items. I won't show you all of them, but I'm going to show you a lot of them. First off, Vlad sent a lot of, these are auction items we got over a Discord. You can find the Discord at aravosis.com right there. Click it, and the page that comes up, look for my Discord. For you guys on TikTok, just go to my profile, look for the link in my profile with the red triangles pointing at it, click it, and you'll find Discord among there. But Vlad sent us a number of Ukrainian candy bars and sweets. And I've got a package of 5 of them here. That's our first auction item. You can see the description on the page. Thank you, Norway. I've got very interesting. This is the cover for the circuit breaker box of a Ukrainian MiG fighter jet that was shot down over Ukraine. We believe it was shot down in a friendly fire incident. I've got all the information on it. I've got the pictures of the plane. I mean, we know all about this. Thank you, Marsha. This is that plane that was part of the Ukrainian special, what are they called? Like the Blue Thunder or whatever it's called, you know what I mean? Where they were the special fighters, the special planes with the cool painting on it, right? In any case, it's very cool, but this is the cover. I just think it's neat because it's in Ukrainian or maybe Russian. It's probably in Russian actually, since it was a MiG. Might be a Russian, but it's just a neat piece from there. The Ukrainian military patch, another one. This is one of the patches that are meant to be a little less obvious on your uniform. Obviously, the colors of Ukraine are blue and gold, blue and yellow, but blue and yellow on your uniform would be too obvious. Brown blends in. So this is a very popular Ukrainian military patch with Velcro. I will show you a few more things. Vlad actually got some really cool. Vlad went and into the mountains in southwestern Ukraine and got some beautiful, I think I don't know if it's needlepoint or embroidery pieces, but these are old pieces. He was told they're from the 50s or 1950s, 1960s. And I could show you up close so you can get a sense of sort of the work on it, but really cool. And show you on the back. You guys can tell me if it's needlepoint or embroidery by looking at the back, I guess. I don't know. But it's really pretty, very cool. And this was made by, I'm going to pull up Vlad's description here. This was made by a woman who's exactly, but her mother from, okay. He purchased it from the mother of a needlepoint. Okay. He purchased it from the mother of a woman who is a refugee from Sumy in Ukraine. Her mother is from Beregove, near the border with Hungary, and that's where he purchased it. But that's a really cool piece. Again, a little traditional for my tastes, but kind of pretty. Obviously, one of these things you put on a table. If the lad said actually you use it, it's pretty old, traditional Ukrainian ornament. Ornament meaning decoration. For Western Ukraine, we use it during Ukrainian weddings and other big holidays as napkins or just a decoration on the table. So there you go. I've got a couple other things here. One second here. One second. Oh, actually, this is really pretty. You know, I have had this for a while and I didn't auction it off. It is a shirt made from a company in Odessa, but very pretty shirt. It's a Ukrainian trident, but it's again, I'm going to say embroidery, not knowing what else you would call this. You guys tell me the stitching. I think embroidery, but it's a really beautiful shirt, size medium. I actually tried it on and it fit me. So it's a medium, but it actually is it's an American, I would call it a smallish, it's a large that's a little small because it fit me really nicely and I'm between a large and a medium. So I'd say it's a smallish American large. Very nice. Actually, I'm doing another Zelensky sweatshirt. I may show you everything. Thank you, Kronos. I've got another Zelensky sweatshirt. These are the sweatshirts that President Zelensky wears. We found the place that makes them. We bought a number of them. We only have size. That's a medium. This is a medium as well. The other medium, the shirt, is actually more like a large. Thank you, Allison. This medium is a real American medium. This is a medium sweatshirt. So you don't want to bid on this unless you know somebody who's an American men's size medium. But it's a beautiful, I mean, it's just a gorgeous sweatshirt. Very soft, just beautiful sweatshirt. And I didn't keep one for myself, and this one's too small. I need a large. But kind of bummed that I never kept it for myself. But I will show you. Okay, final thing I will show you is one of the coffee mugs. These were the cool coffee mugs that Vlad got us in Ukraine. It shows, I Googled it, by the way. This is the unofficial Ukrainian coat of arms. It's not the real one. It's an unofficial one showing a Cossack and then a lion, I believe, or a tiger. And then on the back it says Ukraine Ukraini, which is Ukraina, I should say. But very pretty. I just like it. It's a gorgeous mug. So we're going to have that too. I've got another shell, another military trench art, an old Russian shell from Ukraine, a shell casing that was painted with flowers on it. So we got a number of things, guys. But check them out. They're all in the Discord. And basically, half of the proceeds from the Discord I channel back into Ukraine. The other half goes to support my work because I do this full time. You go to the auction. It's on Discord. You can find it via the link in my profile on TikTok. Thank you, Tom. Just go to my profile on TikTok, look for the red arrows pointing at that link there, click it, and one of the options you'll see is Discord. Click it and go there. And you'll see the auction items. Now, the public auction items are for everybody. The VIP auctions are for the folks subscribing, and this is the problem, are for the folks subscribing everywhere else but TikTok because TikTok's link is broken. Oh, the mug is real. It's not for decoration. It's a real mug. Yeah, it's a real mug. I mean, I'm not going to, let me put it this way. It's a mug from Ukraine that is meant to be drunk from, right? I can't promise you how it was made, right? But it is a coffee tea mug meant to be drunk from. Yes. It's not decorative. In any case, so yeah, so go check it out. Check out the Discord. But yes, unfortunately, the VIP auctions, TikTok has not been able to fix the connection between TikTok and Discord, unfortunately. So the TikTok subscribers, I can't make you VIP members of the Discord. It's broken. And TikTok tried a year ago. Actually, I have to contact somebody and ask them again. They tried a year ago, and sadly, it hasn't been able to be fixed. So you guys can't access the VIP auctions. Only folks who subscribe on Discord directly, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Ko-fi. So sorry about that. The link is fine. The link is fine. Magical, the link's fine for Discord. I just fixed it like 2 weeks ago. It works fine. Yeah. I'm going to go right now, but the link was fine a week ago when I was there 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to even pull it up. And so, because yes, you go there, you scroll down. Discord is like number 5. Yep, I'm looking at it right now. You click it and it opens up. It works totally fine. So there we go. All right. Anyway, all right, guys. Hello, everybody. I decided to put a lot of cool stuff this week. Also, because I'm traveling in a week and a half. I'm traveling. Thanks, Blue Ariel. And so I'm going to bring some stuff to Chicago to auction, but I won't be able to auction as much. And I'm going to be in Asia for 2 weeks in April. So I'm going to be missing some of the auctions. Yeah, thank you, sis. I'm going to be missing some of the auctions. So when I'm in Asia, so I thought I might get a number of good things right before I go too. I would say oh, hello. We love that. Warmonger. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, Terry, there is a report Ukrainian forces attacking Belgorod. All I know is there was an attack on Belgorod right before the show started. Russia right across the border from Kharkiv, Ukraine, and reportedly the Ukrainians had attacked a Russian ammunition depot. Don't know anything more than that. And Ukraine's been attacking Belgorod pretty much every day with artillery. So, oh, someone did, Russell. Oh, excellent, Russell. That's cool. That's funny. Well, I think TikTok does it. TikTok and YouTube sort of pick on their own who they're going to give the gift to. So whoever did it for Russell, thank you. That's cute. Well, and remember, Saturday, we've got our Saturday show. So one of the things the subscription gives you is it gives you some emojis you can use, which are kind of fun, if you're into that. But it also lets you come to the Saturday show, 11 a.m. Eastern time, Saturday morning, which I will be doing both weekends. Yeah, both weekends I'm doing it for the next couple weekends. Once I'm in Asia, I won't, but otherwise I'm here. So, and your birthday is Friday. Woo-woo! Well, happy birthday, Russell, from whoever just donated that gift for Russell. Thank you, guys. The Russian Liberation Army is attacking Belgorod, Hardy. Belgorod, there's two things going on. So Belgorod, again, is this Russian territory right across the border from Ukraine. There's two things going on. One, you've got those Russian troops that are like the Russian Civil War troops, right? That are attacking, they're Russian troops attacking Russians, right? So they're fighting there. The other thing is Ukrainians have been shooting artillery, possibly doing drones as well, but shooting artillery into Belgorod, since the war started as well. So both are taking place. So it depends. Like the ammunition depot thing today, my guess is probably Ukrainians, artillery or some other fire, maybe drones would be my guess. Emil asked an interesting question. Do you think the Russians should treat the terrorists humanely? So here's the problem, okay? I sort of missed this part the other night when I was telling you guys. And frankly, again, knowing TikTok, there's probably no way for me to tell you this story and keep the show live. But the Russians did horrific, well, I can tell you this. They cut the ear off of one of the terrorists and then made him eat it. Horrific story. The Russians beat these guys, did horrific things to these suspected terrorist suspects, let's call them, right? There's two things going on. One, I don't have a lot of sympathy for terrorists. The problem is, in our system of justice, at least, in America, at least, you're innocent until proven guilty. And the whole point is, first of all, you shouldn't treat people like that because what if they're not guilty? That's the first thing, okay? That would be the first argument. What if they're innocent, right? Second argument is that the judicial system is supposed to met out the punishment, not the government. So the government, meaning the government doesn't just get to go, the police don't get to go, well, we think you're terrorists, let's go hurt you. Let's go, torture you, right? Thank you, Charles. The final point, and in some ways this might be the most important point, all the military experts and national security experts and like police and, this kind of stuff, law enforcement will tell you that torture is a really bad way to get the truth out of somebody because they'll lie just to make the torture stop. They'll tell you anything. So cutting off the guy's ear and making him eat it, he's going to tell you anything to stop that, right? So it's not a good way to actually get information from the terrorist suspects. So, I do not have a lot of sympathy for terrorists, right? So if put it this way, I would not be the first person running a civil rights campaign to defend terrorist rights, really? Right? Thank you, Love My. I just, I've only got so much time in my day, and defending terrorists isn't part of that. But it still says something about who you are as a people if you treat anybody like that in custody. We don't want our police to do things like that, right? Because if they do things like that to the terrorists, they probably do things like that to other people they arrest they don't like. And that's the problem, right? It's doubtful that they only did this to the terrorists because you know what I'm saying. Do you think this is the first time these guys have done that? Really? Right? Do you think they only do it to foreign terrorists? Really? Right? I'm suspicious. So, but also it just gets you nothing. It gets you absolutely nothing. It doesn't get you the truth out of them. Now, maybe your point isn't to try to get the truth, right? If you're Russia right now, you're trying to build a false case against Ukraine, the Brits, and the Americans for the terrorist attack. So, then maybe you do the torture to get a false confession, like Casey said, right? That the point is to get a false confession, right? We're going to keep doing this unless you say it was the Americans, unless you say it was the Ukrainians, right? Anyway, Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a good look for Russia either, because it sends a message about their country and their culture that isn't, I think, a very positive message. So we'll put it that way. Hopefully, overlords are okay with that. There's no logic in Ukraine doing it, but again, lies don't have to be. It's. I always sort of tell people, because we deal with this sort of in the U.S. too, on sort of the lies that come out from various people. And I'm always telling people that, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense, because it's a lie. And the person telling it knows it's a lie, So they're not trying to, all they're trying to do is confuse people. Putin just wants to convince his people that America and Ukraine did it. And the Russian people don't need the facts. They just know Putin said they did it, so maybe they did. It's a lie. Yeah, lies don't have to make sense. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. The raccoon. Oh, yeah, you mean the raccoon you mean the poor little raccoon that was kidnapped? No, but he got stolen away from that Russian blogger or something, right? Pretty sure? Be careful, Tom. I'm not sure what that was about, but if the mods don't know who you are, they're going to think you're a troll. Tom Clark is not a troll, just so mods know. You know that. He's a regular. But we've had that happen before, where people throw in a weird comment out of nowhere and it looks like you're being trolly, but you're not. Ash? Okay, good. We've had that. Remember, we had somebody who said about Putin, I think they said he's an idiot or something like that about Putin. And remember, the mods thought you were talking about me. And I think I even saw it and thought you were talking about me. Thank you, Norway, for the hat. Yeah, Russell, was that you before? Yeah, it's funny. It's very funny. Any case. Oh, new Ko-fi subscription. There you go. Thank you, Mark Star. I never know if people figure out Ko-fi. I like Ko-fi, but it can be confusing for some people. Thank you. And I get a pretty good deal on Ko-fi. Now, make sure if you're into the Discord stuff, anybody who does the monthly subscription, make sure you go to our Discord community if you're into the Discord community. But you go there, sign up for free, join our community for free, and then go into your settings and find the link to wherever you bought the membership. TikTok doesn't work, because remember, TikTok's connection doesn't work, but YouTube's connection and Ko-fi's connection do work. And you can set it up, and that way you can access the auctions and join our Saturday show and everything else. TikTok, you can still join our Saturday show via TikTok if you're a monthly subscriber. So be aware of that. Thank you, Ash. Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do, Martin. I'm impressed if you did it. Unfortunately, these connections are not easy. Yeah. We've got the explanation up of how to do it for Ko-fi, but it's not the easiest thing to do. Nathan, unfortunately, there are some Americans that believe anything Russia says because it's in their, there's a number of explanations. One of them is, what's the quote? Something to the effect of, there's a quote about lying and basically doing it when your paycheck depends on it, right? And the whole idea is, why would you lie? Well, you lie when your paycheck depends on you lying, right? Some of these people, who knows what some of their connections are with Russia. Some of them have got a creepy connection with Russia. Some of them are trying to some business people I think are trying to curry favor with Russia. They're trying to curry favor with Putin for their companies. So they attack America and they attack Ukraine. Some people, politicians included, I think there's some corruption going on with them and the Russians, I think, because it's just too weird. So, there's lots of different reasons why some Americans believe the lies from the Russians. Yeah, it's scary. And some of them, like I said, their paycheck depends on them lying and defending the Russians, even though they know the Russians aren't telling the truth, So, yeah, the Orban stuff, I'm really not up on all the details. I just know there have been some protests in Hungary. There's sort of explosive allegation about Orban's government being involved in this new corruption scandal, that one of the ex-husband of one of Orban's top ministers or whatever has an audio of his wife talking about all the corruption that they were doing or something like that. So a lot of stuff going on, but I'm really not up on all the details though, with Hungary. Well, yeah. Belarus and Poland and the Baltic. I'm not sure, Daniel, what's the latest with Belarus and Poland and the Baltic? I know he was recently posturing in the area. He was trying to posture in near the near the, is it Suwalki, I think? I always get that mixed up with the fold that was I'm getting the Lithuanian one mixed up with the German one. The German one that we worried about with the Soviets coming across. Suwalki, I think, is the Lithuanian one, right? I know there was something recently with Lukashenko in the area making obnoxious comments, but I don't remember anything else, so I'm not sure. What else we got, guys? Ooh, yeah, we're at 160,000 likes on TikTok. Exactly. Keep hitting the button, guys. We might hit our 200,000 likes on TikTok. Excellent. What kind of power does the UN actually have? I mean, it depends. The UN Security Council has to sort of implement any of the power the UN has. And of course, with Russia, China, and America all on the Security Council and all having veto power, it's hard to get anything done, right? The UN Security Council can put sanctions. Thank you, Cindy. We did put sanctions on North Korea for their nuclear program. And then what happened? Russia turned around and started giving the North Koreans oil in violation of the sanctions Russia voted for. And what's Russia going to, what punishment is Russia going to face? Probably absolutely nothing. So, I wonder with the UN sometimes what power, again, it does have sanctions power, which can be significant, on North Korea and stuff, Iran, but what Russia's showing is, is there much enforcement ability? I don't know. Annette. Oh, I'm not sure what you mean, Annette. Do you mean that website that's always updating all the attacks and everything in Ukraine? I think that's what you mean. I don't think India stopped importing Russian oil. India is one of the countries that was having a difficulty paying for it. This is going back months now because of all the sanctions. Trying to actually make the currency payment was very difficult for the Indians, and their money was getting backed up. Thank you, Gabe. Well, we talked about this the other day, Michael. Russia is in the UN the same reason any bad country is in the UN is, the whole point behind the United Nations is this sort of pie in the sky, feel good. It's the place every nation can get together to talk, right? So that even if you're a bad guy, we want you there because we want everybody to be able to talk, right? So that's why there would be no effort to throw Russia out of the United Nations because, even I, who am somewhat critical of the Russians on war, etc. Thank you, Jetta. I would probably agree that, we probably should keep the Russians in the United Nations anyway, because again, it's sort of the last resort for countries being able to talk. And I also worry with the UN, does it mean any majority vote throws people out? And, it's just kind of like, Tad, oh, troll Tad. Tad. I am kind of enjoying this, I have to say. My sister told me about this little guy. I was like, how would I use it? She's like, just kind of say stuff to it. I was like, all right. Tad was concerned. I think Tad was reading a Russian talking point. Tad was concerned that I wasn't giving any opinions of my own. Folks, anybody who watches the show, let alone the show tonight, the entire show is my opinion. And it's obviously my opinion. This is what I've told you. Like, the trolls come and I think they read things off of pieces of paper they're given, because the things they say never make sense. You know what I mean? Oh, nice. Oh, you got it. Oh, good, Brandy. Excellent. That's nice. Well, as I said, like, TikTok sort of gives you the gift, and we never quite know who it came from. So whoever that was, thank you for giving Brandy the gift there. There are a lot of TikTok gifts today. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. But I love that. Why don't you give your opinion? Jesus. Oh my God. Your opinions make you a bad lawyer and also a bias. It's a biased one, not a biased one. And I'm not here as a lawyer. I am a lawyer, but I'm not here as a lawyer today. I'm here as a foreign policy expert, and foreign policy experts should give you opinions, because that's the whole point. Because in principle, we know more than you, in principle, because it's our expertise. You know more about accounting, or you know more about, being a florist than I do. I happen to know more about foreign policy not than all of you, but than a lot of you. And that's okay. But yeah, so that's the whole point of these shows, I think, is to give an opinion. You don't have to agree. Yeah, exactly. User 794, thank you. That's the whole thing too. You don't have to agree. That's okay. And I also give opinion, like what's motivating Russia. I'm still trying to figure out what's motivating Russia to try to blame Ukraine and us for the terrorist attack. It still doesn't totally make sense to me. It's weird. And I'll admit that to you. Like sometimes, I'll give my opinion like on Biden. I am convinced it's my opinion, but I'm convinced I'm right on Biden. Some of the Russia stuff, still trying to figure out what's going on in their head, and I'll admit that. What's the deal with the bridge? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that bridge thing was horrible. That was in Baltimore, Maryland, a day or two ago now? Two nights ago, maybe? There's this horrible, huge, 1,000-foot long, 300 meters, boat, but it's a container ship with like containers going up really high, crashed into the support of the bridge, and the entire bridge collapsed, killed, I think, like 6 or 8 people there. And the only reason it killed 6 or 8 people is because the ship was having problems. They issued a mayday, a distress signal, and the police were able to cut off the bridge so that the only people on the bridge were repair crews, 6 workers. Yeah. And I'm not sure why the repair crews were still on the bridge. Unless the police didn't even, my guess is the police may not have even known any repair crews were on the bridge. So they cut off both sides and said no more traffic. And they didn't know the guys were there, is my guess. But yeah, this ship knocked the entire bridge down. Horrific. I did see one engineering expert talking today or yesterday on CNN. And he was saying, because they were talking about, people are saying, why wasn't the bridge constructed better? Why wasn't the bridge, why didn't it have bumpers or something around the support of the bridge? And he said, with a tanker or a shipping container this big, he said, there is no way any support would have protected that bridge. He said, no way. He said that bridge was coming down. This boat was too big, too much mass, too much momentum. He said there's no way they could have protected it. So, which is an interesting fact right there, because some people were saying, that the bridge was built poorly, and he said, no. 2 bodies recovered, 4 missing. Yeah, it's terrible though, and they were all immigrants. Although many of the immigrants, one of the guys was here 19 years. So immigrants, 19 years, he's been here a long time. What I mean is, by calling them immigrants almost denigrates it a little bit, right? The way it was being presented, I thought, like, oh, they just came here recently. 19 years is a pretty long time to be here. But nonetheless, they were all from Latin America and killed. Yeah, working on the bridge. Really horrible. Horrible. The bridge was built in 1977. I read it was in the 1970s. Yeah. Anyway, U.S. bridges scare you? Well, actually, a lot of bridges are old, which is not good, but yeah. And yes, Tree Robitaille said the bridge was built before ships was this large. That was another issue I read. Correct. Yep. Yeah, really, just really horrible though. And it's bad because the ships they need to get in there, they've got to get in there now and cut apart the bridge. The bridge is in the water, blocking the water. So ships can't get in and out. So they've got to get in there. It's going to take several days just to get there, and then cut all of this apart, haul it away to even open up the port. Let alone that bridge isn't going to get rebuilt, I think, for a couple of years. They're going to probably have to get money appropriated by Congress, and I guarantee you it'll be a big fight. There will be the typical people who don't want to spend money, and usually it's senators from Florida and Texas, ironically, Republicans from Florida and Texas, who try to block the money for these natural disaster and these bridges, and then as soon as a hurricane hits Florida or Texas, they want money. So, I am of the belief that any state that faces sort of a disaster like this should get support from the federal government no matter what. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. It's a bridge, right? It's a hurricane. It has nothing to do with whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. We should just put up the money and fix the damn thing, because if it happens in any other state, whether it's a hurricane, whether it's a tornado, whether it's an earthquake, that state is going to need the money, because these things can be hundreds of millions of dollars. Did anybody see what the estimate was for repairing the bridge? I just know previous bridges can be, I don't remember if this bridge was the one. There was a bridge that was being repaired decades ago in Maryland, I think. But I remember it being hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, these things are not cheap. They're looking to see if they can do the infrastructure. Is it billions even? Maybe it might be. They were looking to see if they could use the infrastructure money. They were looking at that. Yeah. 60 million in the 70s? No way. Was it that much? Oh, then it probably is very expensive. Yeah, I don't know. Well, Biden said we would pay for it, but that was more aspirational. That was Biden saying, we will pay for this. It wasn't saying I've got the money necessarily, I think. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's easily several hundred million at least. 600 million, yeah. And Andy, what are any idea? Then you build bridges for a living. What's the talk of how much it would be for a bridge like this today? Even just ballparking, spitballing it. Just curious. Andy says he does bridges for a living. Sorry, we're looking here for when Andy chimes in again. So just waiting here. Beep, 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 beep. And Mexico will pay. That's cute, Daryl. That was cute. If just superstructure, 200 million? Oh, okay. Well, that's cheaper than I thought, but okay. So 200. When you say superstructure, I assume you mean the part that goes on top. So what you mean is that pillar, that support pillar, if it's not damaged, but if it's damaged, then it's more money. I assume that's what you mean. I wasn't sure, but yeah. Oh, we did hit 200,000 likes on TikTok. Excellent. Sword for Justice is saying they saw a $500 million estimate. Bottom line is we're seeing 200 to 500 million. So that's, yep. I mean, that's in the ballpark. Buttigieg said today in 1977 it was 500 million. Wow. I have no idea about insurance. No idea. And then you get into the issue of, is the ship liable? I was hearing from a journalist friend that the people who shipped things on the ship, who are shipping the goods, could be liable as well. It's crazy. Sort of the whole thing. But I don't know if the bridge itself is insured. I don't know if you insure bridges or what you do. Timothy says the Ohio-Kentucky bridge is $1 billion. Oh, dog wants water. 1 second. I did not fill her water before the show. 1 quick second here. All right, dog. 1 second here. All right. I did forget you. Oh, my God. All right, there you go. All right. There we go. That's better. Oh, my God. Very upset little dog there. But yes, Mexico will pay for it. That was very funny. Yeah, no, bridges can be expensive. Yeah, but again, I think it's fine. I don't care if it's a Democratic or a Republican state. We should fix it. And this, again, the same thing happens if a hurricane hits Texas or Florida that are very Republican. Well, Florida's very Republican, Texas very, but kind of turning middle. I don't care. It's a natural disaster or whatever, or in this case, act of God or whatever. You fix it. You can't expect states to pay for that kind of stuff. And it affects interstate commerce anyway. Like from D.C. driving to New York, I'm pretty sure you take that bridge. From D.C. going to Philadelphia, like at least one of the, if not the main thoroughfare for the East Coast is going across that bridge, I believe. At least it's one of the ways. So no, that's enough for right now. Just wait. So it's important, my point is, this is something that benefits the country overall. It doesn't just benefit the state. And it benefits interstate commerce, everything. Meaning also, shipping goods, businesses that have goods coming in through Baltimore that might be in the area. I mean, anyway, lots of reasons. Thank you for the gift there. Who was that real quick? Oh, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that. Yeah, maybe Trump can sell some Bibles and we can pay for it. I don't know if you saw that. Trump is selling Bibles for Easter. They're Bibles that have, what does he have written on it? He printed an American flag on them, which is a little weird to start with. And then proud to be an American or whatever God bless the USA, which is that song they play. And he's selling them to make money. And he decided to use Easter to sell Bibles to make money. Yeah, lovely. All right, little weird. Yeah, mods, mute that person. That account is weird. That account's very weird. Yeah, that's just weird. That's just weird. Are bridges state responsibility? I don't know. That's a very interesting question as to who pays originally. Typically, I am familiar because I used to work on transportation issues in the U.S. Senate, and I know for a fact often new bridges or repaired bridges would get we would try to get money in the highway bill, which is the federal bill. Russell's saying yes and no. That's what I was going to say. I'm feeling like it's both. Andy is saying Fed's 90%. That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Cindy. Because I remember, like I said, the highway bill would absolutely, people would get money for bridges in the highway bill. And then people complain about it, but you know. Key Bridge is interstate, so it's federal? Okay. Well, an interstate, because it literally is an interstate, you mean? Because, like I was saying, because the road it's on is a road for interstate commerce going up and down the coast. Thank you, Snag. Appreciate the glasses. Depends on its use. Sword for Justice is saying, okay, so there you go. So it depends on the use, if it's interstate or if it's truly like a state road. I think interstate in this case, because it's right outside of Baltimore. It's not in multiple states. That's in the middle of Maryland. I think in this case, they probably mean it's the corridor going up and down the interstate, the highway, up and down the East Coast, so that it is a main ground transportation route between, Virginia, Washington, Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, right? And Delaware and everybody else too. So that's why it's an interstate. It has interstate implications. Or it's a federal road too. Oh, I see. There you go. Grandma had a good point too. I should get her more water. It's on 95, so it's federal. So it's on a federal highway anyway. Yeah. Actually, that's a very good point. All right, 1 second, guys. One more here. All right. Okay, that's it for now. I'll do your teeth in a minute. Just wait. The dog wants her teeth brushed because she gets a treat out of it. Yeah, Chase, I'm going to wonder if you'd find a Bible in one of his homes, but yeah. Anyway. What else we got, guys? It's 7:25. We're almost at the end here, so I'm going to call it quits shortly. We've been doing this for an hour and 25. Yeah, it's part of the interstate highway system, so it's federal. Yeah. Yep. Well, I mean, she's gonna. I'm gonna probably go for a blood test either before or after the trip. Probably, it may be after the trip. We'll see. Either before or after. I mean, there's only so much you can do. It's not like it's a rush. She was checked last summer. They were fine. They were getting a little worse, so we were gonna have it checked this August. But I can always go May. Oops. Boom. Dinner. Dinner was, what was dinner? I don't even remember now. I just made some pasta. I had some nice vodka sauce, spaghetti sauce from Trader Joe's. I just made some pasta. It was good. Sasha's going with me to Chicago. Yeah, she's not going to Asia, but she is going to Chicago. Sasha is not going to Singapore and Bali, but Chicago, she is going. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to do something, Terry, from Singapore. Yeah. Well, maybe not Singapore. Singapore's tough because Singapore, I'm only in for 3 days. So we'll see if I've got time and whatever. Black tie. My black tie doesn't fit me anymore for election night. But and thank you, Blue Ariel, for the gift. But I'll try to do several lives. Singapore airport. If I got a good enough connection, depends on the internet. I mean, I'm buying internet with my phone, a phone connection, but let's see how it works. I'm also a little worried of what the bandwidth is going to be. But I'll try to do some lives from Singapore and Bali both. The irony, NJ Patman, is I have been to Singapore and Bali. I've only been to a few places in Asia, but my nephew's getting married in Bali where he met his girlfriend. Well, they got married officially a couple months ago, but they're having another wedding there. And I've been there, but he's having sort of a getaway for friends and family to go. So we're going back to Bali, although where I was in Bali was really tacky. I was in the Australian tourist part of Bali. And anybody who knows what I mean knows what I mean. I did not know there were good parts of Bali that my nephew is familiar with. So we're going to be in the cool, neat place of Bali, not the Australian tourist part of Bali. So that will be nice. And then she's from Singapore, so we're going to go and I'm going to go to Singapore for like 3 days before, which will be nice. And get to bop around Singapore and see all of that, which will be nice. So it'll be nice. Yeah, it'll be fun. But I will definitely try to broadcast from there. Just depends how my connection's going, Or are they Russian now? This was 20 years ago. They were Australian back then. Oh no, it's Russians now? Get out of here. Oh God, they were Australians 20 years ago. Oh, that's wild. That's wild. Oh my God. Yeah, I was there like 24 years ago and they were Australians, and it was like, woo, Australian, woo. Like, it was a little crazy. Oh, my. Well, that should be fun. Well, we're not going to be in the tourist area. We're going to be in the nice area. So, Sasha, stop. She wants to play with her little friend. Oh, hey, Mariana. Nice to see you in Kyiv. Hope you're doing okay there. All right, guys. Fenders could have saved the bridge. Don't know somebody. Like I said, the one expert I saw on CNN today said, with a boat that size, there's no way. He said, no way. So, yeah, lots of Russians. Yeah. Ruski Koral. Or Ruski Turistu. I don't know. How do you say tourist in Russian? Oh, my. Thank you, Grandma. Appreciate that. All right, guys, let me do the quick summary of the news, and then let's call it quits. We need to go and play with the dogs in the hall really quick before I go and relax. All right, today's day. This is my summary of the stories we covered today. Today's day 762 of Putin's special 3-day military operation. The Russians attacked more civilians in Kharkiv tonight, and the Ukrainians attacked Belgorod again. Western F-16 fighter jets are on schedule to come to Ukraine mid-summer, according to Ukraine's foreign minister. Poland has decided to double its commitment to the Czech government effort to get artillery shells for Ukraine. They're trying to raise money from European governments, so the Poles doubled the amount they're donating. Germany will hand over 10,000 artillery rounds to Ukraine from its own storage stocks. The BBC says security researchers believe a Russia-based disinformation group amplified and added to the frenzy of social media conspiracies about the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton's cancer diagnosis. Reuters reports that Russian oil firms are facing delays of up to several months to be paid for crude oil and fuel as banks in China, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates have become more wary of U.S. sanctions. Russian forces in occupied Crimea are constructing barriers at the entrance to Sevastopol Bay to prevent further Ukrainian strikes on the Black Sea Fleet. Bloomberg, I sort of talked at length about this, but Bloomberg had an article that pretty much was the Americans and the Germans kind of being angry at the French for talking about possibly putting NATO troops in Ukraine. I think it's great the French have been talking about it, and I think it's just the Germans and the Americans. And I didn't make one last point here, actually, which I should have made. The American officials have zero standing to tell anybody anything about their position on how they're helping Ukraine. We're not giving Ukraine anything right now. Now, it's MAGA Republicans in Congress that cut it off, but the Biden administration, as far as I'm concerned, the Biden administration has been complicit in this. They waited because they should have front-ended the U.S. aid with a hell of a lot more aid, and then we would have had the aid to go through here, but they didn't. And they're the ones who've been sitting on their butts for 6 months now. Thank you, Cornflower. 5 months doing, as far as I'm concerned, absolutely nothing. Like I said, I've told you guys this before. When's the last time you've heard the Biden administration talk about aid to Ukraine? The State of the Union 2 weeks ago, right? You haven't heard him speak about it since. They raise their head like the groundhog and go, oh, Ukraine, give to Ukraine, and then whoop, and then Biden goes back down again and stops talking about it. So, In any case, it annoys me. So for the Biden administration to be telling anybody else about what that's ridiculous. Spagum Pup, I'm not sure. The only thing is, it is showing you've got a 20 next to your name, which I believe is, let me see here. I think that's based on the gifts you've given, I think. I'm not too sure. Yeah, though that's a gifter bag. So you've got the gifter badge you've got next to your name, that diamond thing is recognition. And if you're the top gifter, there's a gift, what's it called? Thank you, Spag. The gift showroom or whatever it is that you can access that'll tell you if you're the top gifter. I don't know where it is, but on your screen, it should be available somewhere. I just don't know where it is. Like on my screen, I don't think I've got it on my screen. I'm like hitting things here to see. No. I am seeing today's top contributors. Actually, I should thank you guys. Ava, Sunshine, Marie, Dawn, Alan, Timothy, Poppy, Arifa, Ali, and Shazak are the top 10 today on TikTok. Thank you guys. A few more stories here. Political activist and member of rock band Pussy Riot has been sentenced by a Russian court to 6-year prison term for simply saying on Twitter that Russian troops are bombing foreign cities and killing people. Thank you for the gift there, NJ. And finally, Russia is still denying that ISIS was behind the terror attack, with the foreign ministry spokeswoman saying today that it is extremely hard to believe that Islamic State would have had the capacity to carry out the attack in Moscow. Honestly, it's like 4 guys with machine guns. How hard is it? I've never planned such things, so I don't know, but right? It's not like it's rocket science here. I don't know, it just seems a little, whatever. Again, the Russians are playing games with the truth, very sadly. So anyway, all right, guys, thank you for joining us. You were very generous tonight. I know that, and I very much appreciate it. And boy, we had a lot of gift subscriptions too, which was great, which I appreciate because it helps me, but also it gets a lot of other folks, which means for this Saturday, remember Saturday morning, I do a show. Any of you who either bought a gift subscription or got one this month from folks, thank you, Dawn. Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, I do a show just for you guys, for the monthly subscribers as a thank you. Thank you, Andy. So come on Saturday morning. Vlad joins us when he can. He's in Kharkiv right now. So with the bombing and the lack of electricity, he was not able to join us last weekend. He said, because literally they were getting bombed. Thank you, Annette. But I will do my special show Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. If you're a TikTok subscriber, join me on TikTok. If you're YouTube and any of the other ones, you can join us on Discord or on YouTube. I did figure out how to stream on YouTube, so we'll stream there as well. Thank you, Cornflower. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a very good evening. I appreciate all your help. Mods, thank you for helping. And I will see you all again mañana. All right? Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Oops.